Welcome to Bridge to Local with Affinity Group, the podcast that connects manufacturers to local operators. With deep industry experience and a proven track record of successful partnerships, Affinity Group is your bridge to driving growth and seizing opportunities in food service. Let's build success together, one connection at a time.
Welcome to your Bridge to Local, where we dive into the biggest trends shaping the food service industry. I'm your host, Mindy Kopacz. In today's episode, we're exploring the rapid rise of e-commerce in food service, a transformation that's changing the way operators discover, evaluate, and purchase products. With digital platforms streamlining the supply chain, independent distributors and manufacturers are unlocking new efficiencies, improving profitability, and using data-driven insights to better serve their customers. Join us as we break down how e-commerce is reshaping the industry, the challenges and opportunities ahead, and the strategies that can help drive revenue growth and predictably raise profits. Today, we're joined by a panel of industry experts and friends.
Neil Gladstone, Vice President, Sales Planning, Strategy, Planning, and Analytics at Affinity Group.
Andrew Van Bark, General Manager, Supplier Growth Services Team at Pepper.
Sara Hagen. I feel like I need to add a few more words to my title, but it's simply President at FoodMix Marketing Communications.
That's the only word that matters.
We've seen a rise of e-commerce platforms in the industry, kind of from all angles. Let's talk about how they're reshaping the industry. What do e-commerce platforms mean, maybe first for operators?
Well, from our perspective, when we started Pepper about 5 years ago, we really saw that basically, at least the independent distributors really didn't have a great e-commerce offering. And so the operators were basically only able to order through the, kind of old archaic traditional methods, which is calling up their DSR, texting, emailing, what have you. And so now in the last 5 years, operators are able to use a modern e-commerce system, something like a shopping experience you would find at Uber Eats or Amazon, and so it's really elevated the experience. Now they can place their order quickly. It just takes a couple of minutes. They can browse their entire catalog, look at promotions and specials. It's a modern e-commerce experience that the operator really just didn't have the privilege of using a couple of years ago.
What I think is great too is you can put your brands in front of the operator more directly. So from the manufacturer perspective, that's incredibly important, right? We want to build ways to communicate directly with them and drive purchase intent. And so I think that's been a really neat evolution over the last few years as well.
And I think as the industry is changing, maybe from a generational standpoint and we're getting fresh blood into the industry, I think we're a little behind in some of these approaches industry-wide.
If you think about, we were talking earlier about the Technomic data that just came out, where it was 57% of boomers want direct contact with their DSR, and then you see a slide going from the most important generation, Gen X, just plugging for us right now, down to Gen Z, which is 24%. And the reality is things are changing, and how people are buying are changing, and so we need to evolve with that.
Yeah. The chefs coming out of the kitchen are younger, right? So we need to just give them experiences that they're looking for. What do we think it means for manufacturers?
Well, I think there's a huge opportunity to, like Sarah had mentioned, promote products within, get more engagement for the operators and kind of different approach to reaching customers, right? I think to go back, though, on the operator side of things, there's another piece to this that I think the value the operator gets is I get to see what is available. I have a more, a widened lens to here's all these products that are available to me. More like you can start to really look at the competitive piece to it, like, pricing, how do I grow my margins? So there's other values there. I think that it's opening some doors for customers.
100%. I mean, the DSR right now, without e-commerce, is expected to hold, 6,000, 10,000, 12,000 SKUs in their head when they're walking around and talking to restaurants and keeping track of which ones they should prioritize based on that distributor's plan, it's no wonder the operators really don't even know what their distributors are stocking. And so I think that's the biggest learning for us in the early days of e-commerce was when we actually just give a modern platform that has the whole catalog and some nice content associated with those items, the operators would just order more stuff. And the distributors were always really surprised at what stuff they were ordering. Ooh, I never thought that they would be interested in cases of Red Bull or something, And that unlocks a huge, to your point, opportunity for the manufacturers. Because just like has been proved in every other industry, when you actually put interesting products in front of a consumer, in this case, the operator, and you either personalize that message or at least personalize a story around March Madness or what have you, people will order that stuff. We've proven that kind of showing these products to the operator at the point of purchase will influence the sale. And I think that is just the perfect foundation, I guess, for incorporating the manufacturing community.
Yeah, I think like trial, right? Innovation. When you think about new product development for our clients, innovation, gaining more trial with operators, I think they're more apt to take a stab at trying something new on the menu or, trying a different product. So
Do you think that the advancements accelerated? I'm like post 2020 with all the supply chain craziness and everything, nobody knew like this is a product I've ordered forever, but I can't actually get to. Do you think that having this e-commerce platform kind of simplifies it for operators too? Because I know that it's in stock and I can get it. Whereas I feel like for a few years it was, I may want it, but who knows if it's ever going to arrive to my door. So is there a sense of security that they have knowing I'm placing this order, I'm getting it? And it was accelerated because of that supply chain nuttiness? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, 100%. Yeah. And, after you place the order, actually being able to look at the completed invoice, and if there are substitutions or modifications, being notified of those throughout, is huge. I don't think they've really ever had that kind of transparency, especially when it comes to these independent distributors that are really just trying their hardest to kind of just get through the day.
I think you said a word there that really resonates with us as a sales agency is the transparency, like having visibility. I believe there's a huge unlock there where we can help play a role in support, the operator with the products, they're either using, gain trial, have transparency to, what they're buying and how can we help them? How can we help deliver more value to the operator? And I think having those insights are super helpful.
I think you're right too, Neil, because transparency, that's kind of what the food service industry has lacked over decades, centuries, and really looking at how that evolves for the future. That's what's exciting about this conversation today is like, how does, everybody all work in tandem with one another? And if you can prove some wins, you can show that to the larger food service industry and say, here's how it works really well.
Yeah, the goal for everyone is the same, right? Just to sell more stuff, sell more cases of product. So if the distributor is selling more, then the manufacturers are selling more, which means the operators are getting more, right? And us as a sales agency, we're hopefully influencing those sales so that cycle keeps repeating itself. So what is the benefit for distributors?
E-commerce benefit for the distributors, the independent distributors, is it really gives them an advantage now over some of the bigger distributors in the field. And I say that because, the benefit of a platform of developing a technology for, in Pepper's case now, over 300 independent distributors across the country is we get a ton of feedback and a ton of use cases from folks all over the country in different parts of the supply chain. And so we've gotten really good at taking that feedback and basically using it to improve each individual distributor's e-commerce experience. And that has allowed us to really accelerate development for the independent distributor to where they now have a better e-commerce experience than the big guys. And the big guys have been, pouring. They have their own technology development teams, and they've been pouring a lot of money into that over the years. But it is nice to see that, the independent has an actual advantage out there on in the street. And just a short 5 years ago, they didn't even have an e-commerce system at all, and they were at a severe disadvantage. And now to not only have one, but to have it really be better, I think it's going to be an interesting next couple of years with that dynamic out there in the street.
I think for a selling perspective, if you think about, again, I go back to all this information, you know more about a customer, you can help identify what makes sense for that customer, and you can kind of push that through. Mm-hmm. Speed to market, like that really resonates with me, where you start thinking about new product launches. I keep going back to how can you effectively and efficiently reach customers? And you had mentioned earlier about the personalization is a big factor. Like, how does that product resonate on that menu? And suggestive selling becomes an opportunity for distribution. Yeah,
and maybe just to list a few practical advantages for the distributors now in this e-commerce world. They can now automate huge swaths of their operation. So instead of having to manually take all of those orders, which is a huge burden on the labor force, now a lot of those can just happen automatically through the system, the operators placing their orders. They also see, we see across our platform about a 23% increase in their basket size, just from people now seeing their entire catalog and maybe discovering items that they didn't even know they stocked. They order more stuff. And it's got other ancillary benefits too, like, customers being able to pay their bills. There's a huge advantage when it comes to like the speed to which people are paying their bills. They get paid a lot faster because people are paying via credit card or ACH in the app. And then it's now a new really valuable piece of real estate for them too. And this is where it connects to the manufacturers, is basically allowing the manufacturers to be able to advertise in their app. And there's, of course, some monetary benefits with that.
See, that's what I find so intriguing about this and for the future. I mean, in the CPG world, we do a lot of that where we can advertise, add to cart, all that stuff. And what's really kind of revolutionary here, I find, is the manufacturer can drive their brand voice and actually see it attributable to what's happening at the sale level, which what everybody wants, right? It's not just we make the joke marketing. Again, impressions are like a warm hug, and it only makes certain people feel good, right? But when you're able to track that to a sale and showcase to leadership, I have this, and this is what it's doing to move the needle forward.
Yeah,
it's different.
True measurement, right?
Yeah.
True results. The other thing I think, I don't know if we mentioned it, but for the distributor, inventory management, I have to imagine there's a piece of this, like connecting all those dots, right? We're being able to forecast to the operator, start tracking trends a little bit tighter.
You would think, because,
Yeah.
and again, I heard you speak recently, Andrew, and it was, they aren't bogged down with having to just take orders. They can be more of a consultant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by having that information about how people are ordering and keeping things stocked appropriately, it gives them the tools, right, to go out and consult and advise versus just take that clipboard and start writing down, what they need in their kitchen.
And that visibility there too, like if we keep using the term connecting the dots, but if the manufacturer also has visibility to these orders, right, they can also help them. It's also, forecasting is a big thing as we talk about supply chain. There's a help, there's an unlock there for sure, right? They're helping manufacturers and distribution all together.
Yeah. It is really cool in our, 5 years of operating Pepper here, how quickly the DSR, you just mentioned it, how quickly their role has changed. Really going from really doing a lot of the majority of their time spent just taking orders and plugging them into their ERP system manually. And now a few short years later, they really do have the time, since a lot of those orders are automated, to just be really consultative. And that, again, offers up a huge opportunity for the manufacturing community, because now we're just basically advocating for that headspace. If we know that they have a DSR has 30 hours a week now to go around and have real conversations with restaurants, let's give them every piece of information possible to have the most educated conversation about our brand.
Side note, we are getting Neil a t-shirt that says Connecting the Dots on it.
Too many.
Who is responsible for the data? So for someone unfamiliar with the Pepper platform, I would imagine there are certain pieces of information that are needed, and that maybe the more information, right, images or things like that, the more attractive those items are to operators. When I'm ordering things, I like to see a picture, and then, right, that influences my decision making. Is that a manufacturer's responsibility? Is that a distributor's responsibility? Who maintains all of like the data?
Yeah, that's interesting, because again, we've heard for decades, making sure your GS1 and all that is in order, your house is, cleaned up and everything. And now you're through not just these e-commerce platforms, but over time through, distributors like Dot and Expressway and everything.
Even Amazon.
If you don't show Amazon, right? If you don't show up correctly there, if you're ordering ham and it looks like bacon because there's an issue, or there's no images in it at all, what's that experience look like for that person who's ordering the product? They're like, that's great. Image coming soon isn't really showing me what I'm going to get.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And we think about the Pepper shopping experience the exact same way. Now, the advantage of e-commerce platform is we've already done the job of bringing together all these independent distributors. And so a manufacturer has the benefit of just being able to basically publish their content directly to Pepper, and it can kind of just trickle down into all of these distributors' e-commerce experiences. And we've had to, that doesn't just happen. We've had to invest a lot. We created a team called SALT. It's the Smart Attributes Library and Taxonomy team, SALT by Pepper.
Wow.
And
We sound really cool.
We had to find some words that would combine to create SALT. Yeah, as the acronym. So the manufacturer, the key thing we want to kind of institute for the manufacturing community is not charging them to be able to publish really good content. And hopefully it's something that, in the majority of cases, that you're already publishing to other folks. So you already have that content. It's just making it available now to this new platform. And then, elevating the shopping experience. We want to really push the envelope on what content you're able to show in the app. We're getting in the world of video. And we already have some manufacturers that are kind of on the cutting edge.
Are there examples of manufacturers that are doing a really good job using content maybe in new and innovative ways to drive operator sales or drive operator usage or enhance their experience on the platform?
Yeah, with kind of basic content, just folks that are really taking the time to have really good images, really good kind of romance language, obviously all the typical GS1 stuff, nutritionals, allergens on it. People pushing the envelope are then spending a lot of time on the content that actually is surrounding, the ads that they're displaying within the app. There's some great actually examples of brands that are collaborating on ads, which is really cool. You see two brands kind of working together to have operators buy both products. But I think the most impressive brands are utilizing video. So we are just starting to play around with video capabilities in the app, and we have one large national manufacturer that is really at the cutting edge of this. Just created a great 45-second video, hype video, kind of a sexy video for their brand. And when operators go in and look at items associated. They just see this great elevated modern experience.
Well, and we know, I mean, video in general is kind of king these days, right? It's so funny because you go back and in the world of food service, we didn't have ads, network ads and spots and all of that. And we just call them video now, but that's technically what they're doing, right? It's putting a brand in a creative way in front of a decision maker to drive their purchase decision, right? It's kind of a fun world.
How do platforms, e-commerce platforms, impact the sales agency community in this landscape?
I think it's just the beginning. We can geek out on this forever, but again, it's looking at how everybody's working in tandem. It's the transparency of, information. It's, everybody rise the tide together kind of idea. And I'm personally really excited about where this goes for the future, right? From our perspective, we want brands to win, right? And our client manufacturers to win. And this just, I feel like, gives them a perfect opportunity to be able to authentically, naturally display their chops direct to operator. So, and the other part, we've talked a while ago about upper funnel versus lower funnel, and we haven't had the luxury of, it's been more upper mid funnel, and this is starting to get, at point of purchase, right? And it's changing how you can look at communications planning, et cetera. Going
back to your question, the agency side, I think we're kind of uncovering it. We don't exactly know, but I think there's a huge opportunity to figure out like what role do we play in this process and how does that work as we partner with clients and again deliver value to the operator as we're going out and hopefully delivering some suggestive selling opportunities. So I think there's a lot there, and there's good, I think, future conversations down the road to figure out how do we unpack it and what does it look like and what role do we play
There's
in
a lot of potential,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of learning still to do. So how do we figure out where our puzzle piece fits into the master puzzle?
What I wanted to maybe add on there is, again, going back to the transparency theme here. These new digital mediums, they are forging kind of these new relationships between sales agencies, the manufacturers, and the distributors. And it's been really fun to see the distributors kind of adopt these new go-to-market channels, and really excited to lean on advertising and now a lot more of the kind of data-driven sales in partnership with the sales agencies and the manufacturers. And that's just leading to better outcomes, more alignment throughout the entire organizations, from the C-suite down through the DSMs, the DSRs out there on the road, and the sales agency supporting the manufacturer sales reps supporting it. All kind of goes together.
We've talked a little bit about data. I imagine there's lots and lots of data, and there's sensitivities around that, around who sees what, who gets what. How do we use the data to get better and not just collect it or hoard it or, right, get stuck in it? Can we talk a little bit about the data and what's available through the platforms?
Speaking it's been a long journey in that regard. I think that the independent distributor is rightfully very protective of their data, their customers. And so we've taken the approach of creating just a really trusted process by a bunch of different stakeholders in the food supply chain. And so for those distributors that want to partner with trusted manufacturers in order to enable really just a more productive sales process, we have set up this kind of this process so the distributor can have the manufacturer sign a really Loctite NDA, and then The manufacturer is shared on insights about current operator ordering behavior. Who are they selling to today? And then I guess kind of even more exciting is what really targeted, ranked white space opportunities for each of these distributors. And that just basically feeds into a really, really good sales plan for where to go drive for more cases. And then the fun part begins of activating all of that data within the platform. And we take two approaches to that. One, really targeted advertising campaigns where we're hitting the operator at the point of purchase and influencing that sale. And the second is weaponizing the DSR community so that in their app, and they have a DSR facing app as well, which opportunities should I go after, and then let me track my spiff along the way. So I'm really incentivized to go and have those conversations with the brand. And this is where I'm really excited to actually be working closer with the sales agency to further drive those results in a short amount of time.
I mean, I'm thrilled and excited for the opportunity as well. You said a lot of like buzzwords that, when we think about empowering our sellers to make better decisions, help support the operator, the white space. But at the end of the day, it comes down to activation and how can we help push brands and products through our customer base. So I think there's a big opportunity there. So I'm excited to talk further in that.
Incentive-wise, too, there's a little bit more clearer tracking. So for some spiffs or client promotions, sometimes from an agency side, we struggle with the metrics of it and do the best we can with the lagging data and the blind spots that we have. But this feels like even a more truer account for our team, which is exciting to think about too.
Gosh, that is the last pillar here, which is kind of the real-time results. I think so often in the food supply chain, we're always working off of data that is really old. We're trying to piece it together and see, did this work or did this not?
And review mirror data.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
And in the agency side of things, it's even worse, right? We're always looking in arrears. We're always behind, and it doesn't give you that visibility with real-time information where we can really, truly understand what's going on.
It's hard to start correcting something when we didn't even know it was a problem for 6 months, right?
No kidding. And that's I truly feel that there are going to be winners and losers in the next couple of years when it comes to brands and everybody in the food supply chain. And I think that the winners are going to be the people that realize that they can be so agile in their go-to-market strategies and use those real-time results to pivot campaign spend and lower cost of acquisition quickly. It's kind of that flywheel that we refer to.
Test and learn.
Test and learn. Yeah. Fail fast.
Fail fast. There we go. There we go. What are some of the most frequently asked questions that you get from manufacturers about integration in with an e-commerce platform like yours?
I would say two things. First is just return on investment. They are really curious when they put this money to work. How am I going to? Usually, there is someone that's really wants to do this because they see that it's the future within their organization, but they know that they're going to have to go back to their higher ups and say, I just spent X amount of money and what did we get for it? Especially because this is not the traditional trade spend and what everyone is used to. And so we as Pepper have to do a really good job at showing that return on advertising spend, ROAS. And that comes with being able to series of dashboards where you can see all your results, attribution, and ultimately ROAS. I would say the other question is just around targeting. I want to have the most efficient spend as possible. So what are my options there?
One thing I think you said a lot very well there. And I think there is one takeaway for us as we look at the agency side of things is embracing change, right? That is a huge thing for us. And if you look back, like I've been in the industry for about 20 years, I don't think there's a year where there hasn't been change. And this is just propelling so quickly, right? And the fear of sales, right, being replaced And I think you said it even earlier, we're giving headspace back. We're giving time back. We're giving capacity back. So you're not getting bogged down with all these administrative things, and we can spend more time with the customer, right? So I think that is like really, as a sales agency, technology is going to continue to advance. It's going to continue to change. We want to make sure that message is clear. We want to use it as a sales enablement tool, empower the team to work smarter, not harder, and be more efficient and impactful with their time.
It's taking marketing and sales integration
Right.
to the next level almost. In the world of food service as an agency marketing, we look at, brand awareness, trial, sample request, all these ways of advertising. And you look at new platforms like this where we can advertise direct to the operator and see the lift. We all have to start thinking a little bit differently about how we stack it all up against one another, because it's great, right? Like, we have access, we have, again, transparency we've talked about, but it will also challenge us to want to look at the overall communications mix a little bit differently, right? What is historically from an advertising standpoint for manufacturers, it's, impressions and CPMs and lots of acronyms and stuff like that. But now we have to start stacking them all up against one another, because they're all operator reach. It's all operator engagement, and which one's moving the needle the most.
What advice do we have for manufacturers who are considering Pepper as a solution for them?
I think it's a great question. And Andrew, I know you can answer it probably even better, but I feel like we're at the point of change now where this is new, right? This and evolving. And I feel like manufacturers who get in early will, to your point from an earlier comment that Andrew made, see more reward. It may level off, but as a pioneer, you're going to reap the reward of investing in what the potential could be, right?
Well, I think a couple things come to mind. I think the first thing is that we definitely all realize that selling cases to the independent distributor, and particularly the independent operator through that independent distributor, is the highest margin sale that we can all go after. And so I think we all have this really unique window where we can reach that operator in true partnership with the independent distributor for the first time, or at least for the first time in this kind of like really transparent, targeted way. And with all of the members of the food supply chain kind of working together towards it. I would say I challenge people pretty often when they say, oh, it feels like it's almost the right time for this stuff. The time is now. Like we've already proven over the last 2 years that we can influence the operator at the point of purchase through this digital marketing. And really now it's let's just go after it and move some serious cases. And the manufacturers that we're partnering with that are doing this best have a great marriage between their sales and their marketing teams. And so usually the marketing person is kind of the point of contact that we are engaging with most. And we're looking at the results and we're deciding who we want to target and what these campaigns will be. And the sales team, though, needs to be really educated on what's involved. So like these are like the regional sales reps or the sales leadership at the manufacturers. And the best way to do that is to, we even do meetings with these teams when they have upcoming campaigns to kind of say, here's all the distributors that these ads are going to be fired up for, and here's what the campaign is, and here's how you can have a conversation about that when you go and visit these teams. And that goes so far, because now we're even seeing when folks are at trade shows, these supplier sales reps are going up to their distributors and saying, hey, thank you for engaging with us on this ad program, and look, we saw some results, but I want to come in there and do some ride-alongs, and it just like deepens that relationship. And I keep saying we're like actually forging these kind of interesting digital relationships. And the salespeople that are engaged, when they see those like sample requests come up, for instance, they are jumping all over those and realizing that is a hot lead, the hottest lead we can get to go convert a sale. And by the way, there's bad examples of this too. People that don't inform their sales teams, and their sales team walks up to a distributor at the trade show, and the distributor is really excited to say, there's this cool brand collaboration. We're launching the campaign next week. And the salesperson says, what are you talking about? And is there a way to kill an initiative faster than that right there? And that is the difference between a really good campaign or engagement and bad.
I think one of the things you said, Andrew, about the communication of these efforts, I mean, it's incredibly important because this is taking sales and marketing integration to the next level, but you got to make sure that everybody on the team understands that, because you don't want to be left to say at a food show or a trade show, I didn't know anything was happening. We're supporting the independent distributor community. People should know that that's the case so that they continue to advocate for your brand because you're doing that.
Yes.
The 3 T words I've heard today are trust, transparency, and then maybe the third I made up, but transitioning into the potential and the possibilities. So as we wrap up our conversation, what one actionable recommendation can we offer for our industry partners?
I think that it's, what's the term, one more arrow in the quiver or whatever. I mean, this gives marketing and salespeople, manufacturers, another opportunity to put their brand in front of the operator. So I'm looking at it specifically from the advertising lens, less so from the sales and distribution side, but it's one more operator touch point that's different. And personally, I love when we get new ideas to the marketplace in order to create brand love, as we say. So that I think is, again, stacking it up against the other tactics in the communication mix, and being really smart about how you go to market.
I would say for the manufacturing community, the time really is now. And the foundation is already set. The sooner you engage with that foundation, you can be basically exposed to in line for the rapid acceleration that is coming next. And that is layering on this AI technology on top of this new kind of direct to operator digital marketing foundation. And the pace of the acceleration on that change is really just increasing. And so the time is now. 100% there will be winners and losers in the next short couple of years. And I think the favorite stat that I like to go back to is customers that are won, whether this be distributor customers or operator customers, before a rapid change, basically have a 25% higher customer retention than those that happen afterwards. So those that engage with all this stuff and drive these personalized messages earlier on have stickier customers than those that come later.
I think you both, Sara, you had mentioned it's another lever to pull, right? So it's another sales tool for us. And takeaway from my perspective is, how do we as an agency get engaged in the process, right? And so hopefully we can have, future conversations around this and see what it looks like.
I think that's a great summation. There's a ton of opportunity here, and I look forward to seeing where that takes us all. So thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.
You've been listening to Bridge to Local with Affinity Group, where manufacturers and local operators connect for success. Stay tuned for more insights and visit affinitysales.com to see how we can help drive your business forward. See you next time.